Hey, cunts, don't forget to click the subscribe button.
Oh, no, Mr. Intellect here. Is that your business attire? Is that how you go in business, dressed like that? You're supposed to wear a suit. We know, everybody knows he's one of them. You'd be surprised who the other two are, second and third, and who's fourth and fifth. Why do you think I said that? Because I don't know how to answer the questions? Because the questions are maybe too tough? I told you in 27 and a half years, I've only had one person ask me one question 2 seminars ago that I've never been asked before. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the fucking question was now. I thought and thought, and I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I went back to sleep. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll remember it, but I can't remember it now. So if that's early onset dementia, maybe I got it. And remember I said the first morning, and I said it a couple times yesterday, that 95% of the questions, you're asking the wrong questions. And I said a couple times, Josh Kim, and for those of you that say, a few of you in your paperwork, I went through all your paperwork again this morning, just to make sure I'm not getting onset dementia. A few of you said, I've read everything you've done, or I've seen everything you've done, which I know is a lie. If you have, then you're retarded, because if you've read everything, why are you asking the same questions you read? Does everybody follow me so far? And because you're afraid. I understand that. I understand that. Intellectually, I understand it. Emotionally, I don't understand it. Even after all these years, I don't emotionally, why some of the things that scare you. Then I got a couple emails, which I'm going to read parts of. It got me thinking about Black Beauty last night and how she wrote me, and she's all proud, and she should be, God damn it. $3.8 million deal. I mean, especially after I left as being chairman. I didn't leave because she's an old good bitch or anything. I just left because she pivoted into something that I'm conflicted. And I said, sorry, honey, I can't do that. Anyway, so I'm even more proud of her. Because when I leave as chairman, I mean, it's gut-wrenching to the kid. You build all these people over around me. And then I fade into the sunset. But anyway, she pulled her black ass up and did good. God bless her. But 40% of the seminar is gone now. 2 of 5 days. And we're going to move on from the chairman today, and you're going to see some other webinars that are germane. If based on, I say this tongue-in-cheek because it's kind of a joke because you won't think it's so funny, but if you're as ignorant about the process as you appear to be vis-a-vis the questions you asked, then we can start right from the beginning again. And instead of having after we used to have boxing, there was a high level of testosterone. We had boxing the end of the second day. And it was perfect timing. And even the guys that didn't box, it was perfect timing for the class. Because you were able to kind of surf on that wave of testosterone till the end of the seminar. Well, we don't have that fucking boxing anymore because of Corona. We've tried to get, professional fighters and a bunch of other shit, but it hasn't worked out because of the Corona. But the guys and gal, when I say guys, she knows I mean her too. We got to get over this hump. These are speed bumps. These are not Mount Everest. We've got to somehow get over these. We will, believe me. I've been doing this a long time, and there's nobody on the planet better than I am in getting you to do what you don't want to do to get what you want out of life. There's nobody on the planet better than me. To do what you don't want to do, though, to get what you want out of life. Everybody this is an exaggeration. Everybody would like wealth. But fortunately for us, not many people are willing to make the sacrifices to create that wealth. So that's the good news. But the bad news is you're the ones that aren't willing to make those sacrifices either. Until, and you connect dots at different times in the seminar. Normally, by the end of today, if you haven't connected the dots, there's a high probability, kids, you're not going to connect the dots. There's a high probability. Some of you connect the dots on the way home, the trip home. I get emails from you, an epiphany or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Some of you connect the dots as soon as you meet your significant other again. Fuck, he was right. That's normally the dots connected there. How did he know? Oh, because I've been doing this 1,000 years, and I've had a gajillion of you. That's how come I know. And the easiest thing for your significant other to say, I'll be supportive. Doesn't take much, does it? It takes a whole bunch much to be supportive, though. For those of you that have teenage kids, your teenage kids, my bad words aside, and Black Lives Matter and shit like that aside, they'll be more supportive than your wife or your significant other. Teenage kids. In other words, where they more or less kind of at the age of reason now. Not little kids. Little kids don't give a shit, And the older kids, he went to another fucking seminar, fuck him, But the teenagers will be your sense of support. Just as the one guy that you we heard a couple of days ago, he said his brother was his support factor. Remember? And I've told you the chairman that we spent a lot of time, and we're moving on from him today, has to be your support factor, mentor, teacher, whatever those words to describe. And if he or she isn't, then you made the wrong choice. Because everybody can be supportive when things are going well. But when the shit hits the fucking fan, for those of you that have been in long-lasting relationships, good or bad, when the shit hits the fan, the shit hits the fan. And when you got no place to turn, that's when your significant other, I would rather have your chairman, because I know what the odds are of your significant other being supportive. And they're not high. We'll put it that way. They're not high. They're not high. It's not because they may even really love you. I could give a whole seminar on love. But anyway, they may even really love you, but they didn't sign off. And this, in their favor, I'm going to defend them right now. When you took on these various people to be your significant others, either man, woman, or beast, they didn't sign on to be the other half of a QLA couple. They didn't sign off for that. And they're right about that. So I could go give a whole lecture on, is it fair to them? A whole lecture. Fuck them. I'm not here to be fair to them. I'm here to be more than fair to you. Fuck them. Because I'm not a pleaser. And I want to be effective and not liked. And I know being liked means I'm not effective. So whether they signed up or not is not my challenge. And if you make it your challenge, you're going to have a problem. But if I was arguing for the defense in a divorce case, I could spend a week arguing their case for them. I could spend a week. Well, he didn't tell me this shit 11 years ago, 9 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 months ago. Some of you have taken 2-3 years to come here. You discovered me, or whatever the right word is, 2-3 years ago. Now, depending on how much you shared with your significant other, and a few of you have gone through a significant other or two in those 2 or 3 years. So I just want you to know, get prepared. Anelli was right. He said, when you cross that gate, that threshold, when you leave here, Dan's setting you up, the old man, as he calls me, is setting you up to shit yourself. Because I'm not there anymore. And the emails I get, like these 2 or 3 emails that I'm going to share with you during the day today, I don't respond to. Because if I try to respond to all the fucking emails I got, that's all I'd be doing. So I do my hardest, my best work while you're here to try to slap reality into you. But I can just, I know this, I know the talks. When Gerard said his wife contacted me, she did, she called, she wrote emails. He's a beast, he's going to kill the children, he's going to kill me, and all kind of shit. And now, on his last birthday, his 46th birthday, she sent me a picture of a cake she baked with my picture on it. Because everybody's happy as fucking Larry now. They're rich. Funny how that works. Now I'm like, there's Jesus, Muhammad, and me. But there was 12 or 15 months in there that was ugly. Now, some of you think that, oh, my wife would never call here. You want to bet? When they see their whole life going down the fucking toilet, everything they signed up for has vanished. We've had them show up here at the fucking gate. Oh, my old lady they used to call wives old ladies. I don't know if they do that. My old lady would never come here. Want to bet? With babies in their arms. They've got more balls than you've got. They see their whole way of life disappearing in the short term. Because they also agree that these aren't speed bumps. These are fucking Mount Everests. Now, we're going to get around to, you saw Nick last night, right? There's only one takeaway. The world's greatest tennis coach since the beginning of tennis doesn't know how to play tennis. I rest my fucking case. Next. Doesn't know how to play tennis. And you want to know the why. You still don't get it. Instead of the how's the only thing that's important. During the Battle of the Somme, which wasn't too far from here, across the English Channel, 1918, and World War I was going poorly for the Allies. It's always going poorly in the beginning. And the Germans and the English and the Allies were like 50 to 150 yards apart, just fighting back and forth, month after month, etc. And they're going to attack at dawn, the Allied side. And there's a little young lieutenant, as they say, British lieutenant, with a swagger stick under his arm and a whistle and a pistol on his hip. And he's making sure that they got Dutch courage. Give them a shot of whiskey. Dutch courage before they're going to go over the line. And you know that of every 3 people that go over the line, one's killed instantly, one's maimed, and one makes it. And then he goes, doo, doo, over the wall, lads. You got to be fucking suicidal to go over that motherfucking wall. But you did. Doo, doo, over the wall, lads. And again, you've got to be suicidal. But they did. On the other side as well, the German side. Now why? In Allah's name, would you go over the fucking wall when the little skinny kid that doesn't even shave, you're going to go over the wall, but you're not going to die. You only think you're going to die. We have not had anybody die from cold calling yet. In almost 28 years. Not one. We've had a couple heart attacks. We had people shake so much on the phone that they had a heart attack. Young people, not old. Suicides and mental breakdowns aside, Those are givens. Guys, I was looking at my Twitter, and Jocko Wacko said how he's dealing with COVID. I didn't even read it. I just how he's dealing with COVID. And various other people have recipes to deal with the corona. But none of them have recipes how to make money in corona. They're talking about the emotional anguish of corona. Grandparents that can't see their grandchildren. Which, sorry kids, I don't suffer from that. Daughters suffering with the anguish that can't hug their moms. I sure shit can't relate to that either. A whole generation. And I already alluded to yesterday that they're being homeschooled by their parents that are morons. That's what they're really afraid of. Just imagine if you're in rural America in Arkansas and your mom and dad have got 5th grade education, they were going to farm. And they're going to homeschool you. That generation's gone. And then those kids are left to their own devices. They may not have internet out there. They may not have a laptop for education. In 2000, 2009, 8 and 9, when the Sovereign Fund of China asked me to come back and help them, Sally and I and Bruce the Whipple and our whole team went back, and they wanted a project to educate 500 million kids on the internet. Because there's no way that they can educate the kids that they've got in the rural areas. And after 3 weeks, I told them, if you had asked me here 10, 15 years ago, I could have helped, but I can't help now. You're beyond it. Just like I say that we're beyond, I told them in 2008 and 9, vis-a-vis educating the masses, they were beyond it. They waited too long. They waited too long. What about Nick? Other than he doesn't know how to play tennis. Comments, takeaways. I like the fact he can't remember his 8 wives' names. Because when you leave Nick, you're out of his life. Just the opposite of you. Next. Yes, sir.
He said, I don't think, I just react.
Just like you guys. Oh, man, just a trigger-pulling motherfucker. Just like you. What else? Yes, sir.
He only focused on one thing, winning.
Focus on the few, not the many.
As long as you perform good, he knows you. Otherwise, he doesn't remember.
Forget about it. Am I closer to my best high-performance superstars? Yes. No question about that. But they, not because I follow them, because they want to impress me. So I get the information like in emails like this. Because I'm the alpha male father they never had. And they want my praise and pat on the head, and I don't pat anybody on the head. I only kick them in the ass. And all your lives, even the few of you that have had rough lives, and none of you really had rough lives, but those of you that think, and perception is reality. If you think you had a rough life, you had a rough life. But there's nobody out there to pat you on the head. And if you can't live with the fact that the only praise you're going to get is from yourself, you're going to have a hard time with this program. Yet the kids perform. And the expectations now are so great because we've got so many guys making so much money. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
He puts himself first in all situations.
Really? Just like you, huh? There's a reason why. And we had a kid here 2.5 years ago that was part of the Knicks school. He was from Argentina. He was a world-class athlete, tennis player, and his family was well off, shipped him up to the school in Florida. The kid sobbed. I didn't see the movie. But the kid sobbed during the whole fucking movie. He sobbed sitting right about where she's sitting during when we talked about it, because he says it was much worse than they're depicting. Much, much worse. They're putting a happy face on this. You have no idea how he treated us. He says in a 200 kid camp of tennis, there were 4 or 5 of his favorites, and then there were 4 or 5 that wanted to cut the throats of those 4 or 5 to become his favorites. Agassi being one. That's what it's like in the real world of high performance. A metaphor I use, which is a bad metaphor, but I was on a plane. I've been on a couple of planes that crashed, and the co-pilot or the flight attendants are running around, put your seatbelts on, smoke coming on, bullshit. And we had about 50 Asian, Chinese, or Vietnamese nuns. And we had about 50 regular Asians, and then the rest of the people Caucasian. And they said, women and children first. Not. The Asians were walking over the nuns like they were stones on the ground. And here I am trying to huddle over 3 little Chinese nuns as they're walking up my back. Women and children first. We've heard that before, right? Not. That's in the movies. That's not in real life. And the nuns forgave them. I still haven't. But I'm not in the nun business. I'm not here to forgive you. I'm here to get you across the goal line as quick as humanly possible. Whether I have to punch you emotionally, slap you, spit on you, doesn't make any difference to me, because I don't care what you have to say about me or what you think about me, or God knows how you feel about me. Remember I said sometime yesterday, I think it was in the morning, if I had one word to describe how I wanted you to be, was selfish. Not more selfish, because none of you are probably selfish at all. Selfish. If I asked my first wife or I asked Sally, who they both worship the ground I walk on, they love me, but would both say, our love for Dan is transitory compared to Dan's love for himself. Meaning their love for me is non-existent compared to my love for myself. Nobody loves Dan Peña more than Dan Peña. And the high-performance people that I have the privilege of being around, you can't be a good father unless you love yourself first. You can't be a good son unless you love yourself first. You can't be a good fuck all anything unless you have love, self-esteem for yourself. And for those of you that have children and you already know they have no self-esteem, guess where they got it from or didn't get it from? Your kids, little worthless pieces of shit that they are mirrors of you, and if the mom's around, or that's it. And there's more to raising kids and taking them to little league games and soccer and that kind of shit. I didn't do any of that. I already told you, I never bought a candy, a flower, nothing. Ever. In my entire life. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
He set his camp up, and all of his students, he fully immersed them into tennis completely. He allowed them to, live in his home, and they had chores and things like that, but they was completely immersed into tennis.
Absolutely. And you've heard already, and you're going to hear the rest of the week, the guys and the gals on these webinars, we immerse ourselves. Roberto's coming up, I think, later today, who was one of the success stories of the last 18, 24 months. He said, I click on the Harvard talk or some talk when I'm taking a shower to get programmed. Josh Kim, you're going to hear, when he left here 4 years ago on the train back to London, was listening to me, and one of the other guys, some of you guys that were on the train with him, asked him, well, what are you listening to? I'm listening to Dan. Dan showed us that the people that are the most high performance and that made the most money immersed themselves from the minute they left the castle. left the castle. That's how the system works. When you're an astronaut, I know this only because I only know one astronaut. God rest his soul, he's dead now. P.T. Conrad. He says that all you're thinking is walking on the moon, Mars. That's it. There is nothing else. The world-class athletes, and there's 2 or 3 of them up there, all they thought about was standing on the podium first. That's it. There wasn't anything else. And to the extent, not athletically, because my athletic endeavors were abysmal at best, I was going to make fucking money. Gobs of it. That you had to load on dump trucks. I said this yesterday, not pickup trucks, dump trucks. And by God, I remember the day I made $100 million, like when I brushed my teeth this morning. Like in a trance. Fuck, that felt good, And what we need to do, and we must do, and what we will do, is we have to build successes for you to be able to relate back to. Right now, you got dog shit. A couple of you have more than dog shit, but let's call it dog. In the scheme of things, between you and Bill Gates, it's dog shit. Chairman's the first, and and I'm making this big, long speech like a minister because the chairman you get is going to be the first quasi-high-performance thing you've ever done. Because you're going to get somebody that you thought heretofore wouldn't even talk to you, wouldn't have the time of day for you. I.e., why would the commandant of the Marine Corps ever talk to me? The kid that got him. I didn't get him. The kid got him. Why would? They would. Because you and I know the same secret. They're all broke. At the end of a 40-year career, not as broke as you, but they're broke. You don't tell them that. And so, as one of the kids said yesterday, and for some of you tree huggers in the room, it make you feel better, it's because you're their last chance. And that's something you can be proud of. And that's your first success. And then as we go through the rest of the board members and the accountants and the lawyers, by the time you get down to the motivated seller that you close, you've had between 50 and 250 presentations to board members, potential board members, accountants, lawyers, banks, and sellers. Because most of you aren't going to close the first deal that you find. And remind me after lunch to tell you about, when we're not on YouTube, one guy, the first deal, and he came up, boom, like Babe Ruth pointed over the fence. I've only had one guy that did that, and it turned to tears, unfortunately. But it's a building block process, one after another after another. And then pretty soon, I mean, you feel like somebody by the time you get to the motivated seller because you practice. Now, Andres, with the greatest respect, Andres still does, his communication skills are okay, but he's not fucking, Laurence Olivier or, I'm told he's much better in German. I believe he is because his German's his primary language. But it's a building block process. But it all starts with the chairman. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
It basically said that he was more than just a tennis coach. He was a life coach because he helped the kids have a strong, basically be mentally prepared to be a champion.
What he should have said, and I have talked to him personally, psychologically prepared. Because it's, as he pointed out when, in the example that was given by a couple of the pros, high-profile guys he coached a few years ago, he got one to psych the other one out. And that happens all the time. That's what primarily the trash talk in the fighters started as. Trash talking, so, to try to get a mental edge. The trash talking didn't work too well with Mr. Tyson. He says, everybody's got a plan until I punch him in the, he said actually, punch him in the fucking face. And he's right about that. Everybody's got a plan until you bite their nose off. I can attest to that. I don't care how fucking tough you are. If Dan Peña's lips are getting around your face, you're fucked. You are fucked. You look at me like I'm Hannibal Lecter from fucking, I am. And there are guys like, you know who Hannibal Lecter is? The movie? Yeah. There are guys like that, believe me. Normally the Hannibal Lecters are the little guys because they can't fight, so even a little guy, you bite a big guy's nose off, the fight's over. I happen to be a big guy that could fight that also did that. So that made me a double threat. And then I was a psycho because I thought I was tough. I.e. the Cotton Club, dancing around like I'm fucking Sugar Ray Leonard. Fucking what possessed me? God! The devil possessed me. That's what possessed me there. I seen all those black faces. I can close my eyes, I can see them all. Fuck. But anyway, okay. Nick didn't know how to play play tennis. He used psychological warfare, basically. 187 titles, if I remember correctly. That's back then. This movie's 4 or 5 years old. So I know he's got more than that now. And I called him, and I tried to get a meeting with him at the U.S. Open about 5 years ago. I wanted to get him here. All the big hitters, not the least of which is him, that I tried to get here, none of them came. But that's a whole other story why they didn't come. And I talked to him on the phone, and he liked the idea, and then he turned me over to his assistant, and his assistant says, it's not likely he's going to come, Mr. Peña. That's a long way for an 88-year-old or 87-year-old guy to be on a plane. I didn't think. When I'm 88, if I can't fly across the fucking Atlantic Ocean, I'll jump out and drown myself. And he didn't come. But he understood. And funny enough, he had heard about me. It's like in 1993 when last time I saw Donald Trump. It's the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas, grand opening. I think it was April '93, something like that. And we're going into the elevators to the penthouses. And I had my two sons with me. Not dissimilar to how Anelli's sons looked when he showed up. And when we went in, and Mr. Trump said or Donald said, he doesn't like to shake hands. He's a germ freak. So this corona thing, I can't imagine what he was thinking. And he says, I hear, Dan, that you're trying to teach stupid people how to be rich. Yes, that's correct, Donald. He just laughed. Because all the big hitters don't understand why you don't get it. I mean that. I'm not just yanking your chain because you're here. They don't understand how you don't understand. They just flat ass don't get it. That's the last time I saw the president. But we shared lawyers. We had the same governor, the former governor of New York, who was on my board, in the law firm, the big law firm in New York City. He used the same law firm. And again, okay, now I'm using the same law firm as Donald Trump. I currently, not recently, but use the same law firm as the White House uses. And who do you use? Your cousin. Your third cousin who'll give you a discount rate. Right? Right. You heard Tom cry about paying $5,000 an hour for that meeting. Two partners and 2 associates. Because what are you taught? You're taught to, what else about Nick? Yes, sir.
I noticed that he didn't focus on correcting any weaknesses. He only focused on their strengths.
Great point. My job, and the reason we do as much testing as we do before you get here, is to ascertain if you have any strengths. Because some of you don't. I don't mean you, I mean people that come to the seminar. Some of you just don't. But if you have any strength, to pump cement up their asses. Because trying to create weaknesses in the strengths is a recipe for disaster. So the great coaches take the strengths and make them better. They don't try to transform weaknesses into strengths. Walked by one of the guys on the estate today, and I kept on looking at him. He said, "Good morning, sir." And I wanted to say his name, but I don't know it. He's probably been here 20 years. What? Phil, Steve, Bill, Joe. Just was testing myself, see if I was still early onset dementia. Anything else about Nick? The most important thing about Nick is he doesn't know how to play tennis. And you all want to know. You want to, and I don't want to know anything. Steve Jobs didn't want to know anything. Remember, success leaves clues. So far, we've studied 3 icons. 2 from business. Arguably one changed the world. Arguably McDonald's changed the world as well. And Nick for athletics. A couple other guys that I've tried to get here unsuccessfully. Bobby Knight, one of the great basketball coaches of all time from Indiana, and then ultimately, and then when he choked and hit one of his students with a chair, he lost his job. And then he went to coach at Texas Christian, I believe. Hit his All-American forward with a fucking chair. But Woody Hayes is my favorite, and he's on the influencer along with Bobby Knight from basketball from Ohio State. They're playing Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt were pussies in football, whenever this was, back in the 70s or something. And the Vanderbilt halfback came around the end and got around the corner, the safety, and was going to run for a touchdown. As legend has it, Woody Hayes has his clipboard like this and his headset like this. He threw his headset down to his clipboard and tackled him himself. That was the end of his career. Now, he knew that would be the end of his career. One of the great football coaching careers of ever. I couldn't let that cocksucker. I'd rather stop coaching ball than let that motherfucker score. How many of you in this room feel that strongly about anything? In the super success test, one of the questions is, what would you do if somebody spit in your wife's face, or I forget what the question is, slap, 96%, 96.4% of the many thousands that have taken that test, I'd ascertain his state of mind to see why he would do such an ugly thing. Instead of beat him to fucking death or die trying, I'd ascertain what his state of mind was that he spat in my mom's face. Are you shitting me? That's where society is. Anything else about Nick? Yes, sir.
He believed in isolate people in order to get the best out of them.
Now, I used to ask, but I don't ask this anymore. What traits in Nick do you have that you possess, that you equally possess as does Nick? I don't ask that question anymore because a few of you are so delusional, you actually think you have some. So and it gets off in discussions, so we skip that question now. But some people, in every seminar, until I stopped doing it maybe 3 years ago, think delusionally that they've got some of the same characteristics as Nick, as Steve, as McDonald's guy. Now that's early onset dementia. Because in no way, shape, manner, or form are you anything like those guys. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this in a second. As you know, on my 75th birthday, my wife gave me a lot of stuff, not shit, but stuff. When I say shit, I don't mean bad shit, I mean stuff. And she had this car made for me. We went down to the Rolls dealer down South England, as we did for the Bentley. It was bespoke, handmade for us, for me. And with the $1 trillion man and the QLA colors, yada, yada, yada. And then there was a ceremony when I gave up my old Rolls and I got the new one, and et cetera, et cetera. So I do this for my own benefit, and I put it on social media. And guess what? We're just going to go through a few. What do my kids, QLA mentees, get? They do what their daddy does, me. So these are John and Amber. The rolling up, I forget what the fuck they're rolling up, but they're doing it successfully. And so he bought, now it's clear, originally I thought he bought this for his wife. But now I'm told that maybe he bought it for himself. So, but a great couple. And then the Carlines, who are my neighbors here. And I've only got a couple here, but I should get a kickback from Rolls and Bentley and shit, because the kids go out and buy them. And they're not buying these cars with good looks. They're buying with money. And to say that your life changes, Tan, the Vietnamese gangbanger, yesterday said, we all want the money. But you don't know what the money does to you. And it transforms you. It's like I say, Sally and I have been poor and we've been rich, and there's no comparison. I mean, none, zero. It's not even, and if I can't even get you to enter the Smell the Leather contest, and these other things that we've tried and failed at, how much do you really want to be wealthy? And your significant other is going to tell you, is money the only thing? Isn't there more to life than money? And you better have an answer ready. if you have any chance of wanting to keep the old slag. I would just use it as a Pontius Pilate moment. Wash my hands of you, bitch. Don't let the door hit you in your flabby ass on the way out. And then you praise Allah. You get down on your fucking knees. Thank you, God. But you're not going to do that. Now, just as my mentees buy cars, similar to ours, they also buy expensive watches, which I don't know. This guy from Australia bought this $140,000 watch, which doesn't, just because I never heard of it doesn't mean shit. Okay, and they send me these all the time. I get these. You know, Thomas, who you're going to hear again today, is buying an $8 million house, which is no big fucking deal to me, $8 million, but you know, apparently in Toronto, Canada, it's a big fucking deal. And this is what I see, and more of it in the since Corona. Now, your parents would say, don't buy the $8 million, just as his parents are telling him, don't buy the $8 million house. Now, Corona's here. The world may end. As we know it, the free world's going to end. And of course, I tell them, go balls out. Go balls to the wall, because then you don't have a backup plan. Then you got to make it work. Got a guy from Manhattan during Corona, did 11 deals. 11. 11! And well, not that. Let's see, where is it? No. Okay, that's, okay. Okay, YouTube, thank you.